In 1987, Some Kind of Wonderful gave us love, rivalry, and a choice that defined a generation. But 39 years later, the real twists happened off-screen. Some became stars. Others faded into cruel tragedy. Today, we reveal who they truly are now. And trust me, you won't recognize them. Eric Stoltz as Keith Nelson. Eric Stoltz was born on September 30th, 1961, in Whittier, California. At 25 years old, he played Keith Nelson, the introspective, working-class romantic lead in Some Kind of Wonderful. His restrained performance gave the film emotional weight and made Keith one of the most relatable characters of 80s teen cinema. Behind that quiet intensity was a childhood shaped by constant relocation between American Samoa and Santa Barbara. Growing up in a modest household with two school-teacher parents, Stoltz began working young, playing piano in local productions to help financially while trying to stay focused in school. Life felt unsettled, and that sense of displacement later surfaced in serious roles like Mask and The Fly 2. As his career rose, his relationships began to strain. Stoltz dated Bridget Fonda for 8 years before the relationship ended, leaving him emotionally guarded. Earlier romances with Jennifer Jason Leigh and Ali Sheedy had already collapsed under shifting schedules and professional disappointment, especially after being replaced in Back to the Future. In 2005, he married singer Bernadette Moley, choosing a quieter life, even as he moved between projects like Pulp Fiction and Broadway's Our Town. Then came a physical setback that changed his direction. In 1990, a serious car accident left Stoltz with lasting back injuries. The pain persisted and limited physically demanding roles, pushing him toward work behind the camera. While directing episodes of Glee and later Madam Secretary, he carried that reminder daily. Today, Eric Stoltz is 65 years old and continues working as a respected television director and producer. His estimated net worth of $5 million reflects decades of steady work rather than blockbuster dominance. He no longer chases leading man status. Instead, he shapes stories from behind the lens. Mary Stuart Masterson as Watts. Mary Stuart Masterson was born on June 28, 1966, in Los Angeles, California. At 21 years old, she played Watts, the fiercely loyal drummer and emotional anchor in Some Kind of Wonderful. Her portrayal challenged Hollywood's idea of femininity and became the soul of the film. Her strength on screen mirrored the pressure she carried growing up. Raised by director Peter Masterson and actress Carlin Glynn, she moved between New York schools and film sets, surrounded by expectation. After appearing in The Stepford Wives as a child, she stepped away from acting to focus on education, then returned in Heaven Help Us and At Close Range. Success did not protect her from instability at home. She married George Carl Francisco in 1990, and the marriage ended within 2 years. Her second marriage to filmmaker Damon Santostefano dissolved in 2004 as career demands intensified during the years of Fried Green Tomatoes and Benny and June. In 2006, she married actor Jeremy Davidson and built a family with 4 children, yet balancing motherhood and work brought new emotional strain. Emotional strain soon turned into something deeper. After childbirth, Masterson experienced postpartum depression, confronting exhaustion while continuing stage and television commitments. The struggle shifted her focus toward directing, including The Cake Eaters, where she reclaimed creative direction in her own way. Now, Mary Stuart Masterson is 60 years old and remains active in film, television, and theater. Her estimated net worth of $3 million reflects a career sustained by persistence rather than spectacle. She stands today as a performer who endured reinvention, heartbreak, and internal battles, proving that survival can be as powerful as stardom. Lea Thompson as Amanda Jones. Lea Thompson was born on May 31, 1961, in Rochester, Minnesota. At 26 years old, she played Amanda Jones, the admired, wealthy high school beauty in Some Kind of Wonderful. Her presence added emotional tension to the story, turning a simple love triangle into a painful clash between class. Her confidence on screen was shaped by an early dream that collapsed. Growing up in a family of 5 children with limited finances, Thompson trained intensively in ballet and earned scholarships to prestigious companies. A serious knee injury during her teenage years ended that path abruptly. The loss forced her to abandon professional dance and redirect her life toward acting. She rebuilt herself through small roles such as Back to the Future and Red Dawn. Fame soon intersected with love. She was engaged to Dennis Quaid from 1984 to 1987, a relationship that ended quietly as careers shifted. On the set of Some Kind of Wonderful, she met director Howard Deutsch, and they married in 1989. Together they raised 2 daughters, Madeline Deutsch and Zoe Deutsch, both actresses. Yet balancing family and career proved demanding, especially as she moved from leading roles in films to television work like Caroline in the City. Long filming schedules and directing commitments often tested their stability, though the marriage endured. The past injury never truly disappeared. Years of ballet left lingering knee pain that resurfaced as she aged. Midlife brought additional health challenges linked to physical strain and hormonal changes, requiring careful management while she continued working. Despite these setbacks, she remained active in projects such as Switched at Birth and directing episodes of Resident Alien, refusing to step away. In 2026, Lea Thompson is 65 years old and continues acting and directing for television and film. With an estimated net worth of $4 million, her career reflects steady resilience rather than explosive fame. She stands today not just as Amanda Jones or Lorraine McFly, but as a woman who built another and kept moving forward despite pain. Craig Sheffer as Hardy Jens. Craig Sheffer was born on April 23, 1960, in York, Pennsylvania. At 27 years old, he played Hardy Jens, the privileged rival whose presence intensified the emotional conflict in Some Kind of Wonderful. His portrayal of arrogance and hidden insecurity gave the film a sharp edge that audiences still remember. Behind that polished character was a turbulent upbringing. Raised after his parents' separation, Sheffer grew up primarily with his mother and siblings in financial hardship. He attended East Stroudsburg University on a sports scholarship, but left after a knee injury ended his athletic path. Moving to New York to pursue acting, he experienced homelessness for weeks, sleeping in Grand Central Station and surviving on church meals. That survival instinct later fueled roles in Nightbreed and A River Runs Through It. Success did not secure stability at home. Sheffer had a long relationship with Gabrielle Anwar, and they welcomed a daughter, Willow Anwar, in 1993. He later married actress Lee Taylor-Young in 2000, but the marriage ended within a year. The pressures of fluctuating roles, including his prominent part as Keith Scott in One Tree Hill, placed strain on personal relationships. Several partnerships faded under emotional stress and the unpredictability of his career. In 2013, Sheffer faced a serious health crisis when he was diagnosed with skin cancer. Surgery and treatment were necessary, forcing him to confront mortality directly. The illness shook him deeply, but also strengthened his focus on work and family. Even while battling health fears, he continued appearing in projects such as American Horror Story, double feature. Today, Craig Sheffer is 66 years old and continues acting in film and television. His estimated net worth of $2 million reflects a career marked by resilience rather than mainstream dominance. John Ashton as Cliff Nelson. John Ashton was born on February 22, 1948, in Springfield, Massachusetts. At 39 years old, he played Cliff Nelson, the strict, blue-collar father in Some Kind of Wonderful. His grounded performance gave the film its generational tension. That authority came from lived experience. Ashton grew up in a working-class family and learned early that stability required effort. He pursued theater studies at the University of Southern California after attending Defiance College, determined to escape economic limits. Small roles in films like Breaking Away and Borderline built his foundation, but real recognition came when he portrayed Detective Taggart in Beverly Hills Cop and later starred in Midnight Run. His personal life carried its own fractures. Ashton married Victoria Marie Runn in 1968, and the marriage ended in 1970. His second marriage to Bridget Baker Ashton lasted from 1976 to 2001 before dissolving, leaving emotional strain and distance. In 2002, he married Robin Hoy, building a blended family that included children from previous relationships. The demands of long shoots and career uncertainty created tension at home, even as he continued appearing in projects like Gone Baby Gone and later reprising Taggart in Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. In his later years, Ashton faced cancer. The illness progressed quietly and ultimately claimed his life on September 26, 2024, in Fort Collins, Colorado, at the age of 76. His passing came only 2 months after the release of Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F., making the film one of his final appearances. The disease ended a career defined by endurance rather than glamour. At the time of his death, Ashton's estimated net worth was around $3 million, earned through decades of film and television work. Elias Koteas, as Duncan. Elias Koteas was born on March 11, 1961, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. At 26 years old, he played Duncan, the brooding, volatile presence in Some Kind of Wonderful. His intensity added danger and unpredictability to the story, giving emotional weight to every confrontation. Koteas was raised in a Greek immigrant household where cultural expectations were strong and resources limited. His father worked as a mechanic, and adaptation was a daily reality. He studied at Vanier College before moving to New York to attend the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and train at the Actors Studio. Early film roles led to breakthroughs in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as Casey Jones and later in Crash and the Thin Red Line. His private life remained guarded. Koteas married actress Jennifer Rubin in 1987, but the marriage ended in divorce in 1990. Since then, he has kept relationships largely out of the public eye. Rumors about his personal identity circulated over the years, yet he refused to address speculation, choosing silence over explanation. Today, Elias Koteas is 65 years old and continues working selectively in film and television. His estimated net worth of around $3 million reflects a long career built on character depth rather than mainstream stardom. He remains a figure of mystery, not a headline celebrity, but an actor whose intensity has endured for decades. Molly Hagen as Shane. Molly Hagen was born on August 3, 1961 in Minneapolis, Minnesota. At 25 years old, she played Shane, the sharp-tongued classmate in Some Kind of Wonderful. Though not the central figure, her presence added realism and social tension to the high school world the film portrayed. Her grounded energy came from a modest upbringing. Raised in a large family after moving to Fort Wayne, Indiana, Hagen grew up surrounded by financial limits and constant adjustment. She studied at Northwestern University, determined to break beyond small-town boundaries. Early roles in Code of Silence and television appearances opened doors, but consistent recognition remained difficult. Even after appearing in Election and later in Sully, she often remained in supporting roles while larger names carried the headlines. As her career matured, television became her strongest platform. She gained visibility in Herman's Head and later connected with younger audiences through Unfabulous. Years later, she joined Walker, proving her ability to adapt across generations of viewers. Between guest appearances in series like Grey's Anatomy and Law & Order, she built a resume defined by reliability rather than sudden fame. The industry changed, trends shifted, yet she remained present. In 2026, Molly Hagen is 65 years old and continues working steadily in television and film. With an estimated net worth of around $2 million, her career reflects durability more than celebrity status. She remains a familiar face across decades of entertainment. Maddie Corman, as Laura Nelson. Maddie Corman was born on August 15, 1970, in Manhattan, New York. At 17 years old, she played Laura Nelson, the spirited younger sister in Some Kind of Wonderful. Her brief but vivid presence gave the film warmth and familial realism. Her career began at a young age and quickly accelerated. She gained early recognition in 7 Minutes in Heaven, working alongside Jennifer Connelly, and continued into films such as The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, she appeared in projects like Swingers, Made in Manhattan, and numerous episodes of Law and Order. While she rarely held leading roles, her consistent presence made her a dependable character actress across film, television, and stage. As she transitioned into adulthood, theater became a defining space for her voice. She earned critical praise off-Broadway and later created the autobiographical play Accidentally Brave, transforming deeply personal experiences into art. Her television return in Younger reintroduced her to mainstream audiences, showing both maturity and emotional range. Between independent films and stage productions, she reshaped her public identity through storytelling. Now, Maddie Corman is 56 years old and continues acting in television and theater. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, her career reflects perseverance rather than glamour. Her journey stands as proof that longevity in Hollywood often belongs to those who quietly endure and keep creating. Jane Elliot as Carol Nelson. Jane Elliot was born on January 17, 1947, in New York City, New York. At 40 years old, she played Carol Nelson, the worried, watchful mother in Some Kind of Wonderful. Her calm presence softened the film's family tension, giving Keith's home life a quieter emotional pulse. That steadiness was built in a tough New York upbringing. Elliot grew up in a working household and learned independence early, then threw herself into training through ballet, music, and performance while chasing opportunity. A breakthrough arrived when she landed work in Britain as a teenager, then returned to the U.S. to build credits in projects like Change of Habit and One is a Lonely Number. Marriage, however, became the place where control slipped away. Elliot married Luis Felipe Rojas in 1979, but the relationship ended in divorce in 1986, leaving her bruised and guarded. A second marriage followed and also collapsed, and she never had children, which only deepened the sense of solitude as her career consumed her. During the same stretch, she carried heavy storylines across soaps like All My Children and Guiding Light. The strain of soap opera life became its own kind of slow-burn battle. Playing Tracy Quartermain on General Hospital meant living inside relentless schedules, demanding scripts, and a character written to shock audiences, like the infamous scene where Tracy hides her father's heart medication. Elliot left, returned, left again, and kept being pulled back, as if the role had chains. She won a Daytime Emmy in 1981, later earned another major nomination in 2014, but the workload and constant intensity created emotional wear that built up over decades. In 2026, Jane Elliot is 79 years old and still returns to General Hospital in special appearances, keeping Tracy alive as a legend who refuses to fade. With an estimated net worth of around $2 million, she remains a survivor of an industry that rewards drama and punishes vulnerability. Even now, she carries a career defined by sharp power on screen. Candace Cameron Bure as Cindy Nelson. Candace Cameron Bure was born on April 6, 1976, in Panorama City, California. At 11 years old, she played Cindy Nelson, the youngest sister in Some Kind of Wonderful. Her small role added family texture to Keith's world, then she stepped into a much bigger spotlight the same year. Growing up in Los Angeles with her brother Kirk Cameron already famous, Candace entered show business under constant comparison. She worked early, learning lines and facing cameras while still trying to stay a normal kid. In 1987, Full House turned her into DJ Tanner, and suddenly her childhood became a public product. Even as she took on other work like Punchline, the identity of DJ followed her everywhere, shaping how producers and audiences saw her. Her marriage became a central anchor, but it still came with pressure. Candace married NHL player Valeri Val Bure in 1996, and they built a family with 3 children while navigating fame from 2 different worlds. She stepped back from acting for periods to focus on motherhood, then returned through TV movies and later Fuller House. The balancing act never looked dramatic on the surface, yet the demands of career, faith-based public identity, and constant scrutiny created tension that had to be managed carefully to protect the family's privacy. Health struggles surfaced in ways that shocked fans who assumed she was always fine. Candace later revealed she battled bulimia nervosa in her early 20s, a private fight hidden behind a wholesome image. Years later, she also drew controversy during the pandemic for speaking against vaccine mandates, then clarified she was not anti-vaccine. The contrast between her clean-cut brand and the messy truth underneath became part of her modern story. Today, Candace Cameron Bure is 50 years old and remains a powerful figure in family entertainment. She works as an actress, author, and executive at Great American Media, shaping the kind of stories she wants on screen, while her estimated net worth of around $10 million reflects decades of television success. She is still DJ in many people's minds. Chynna Phillips as Mia. Chynna Phillips was born on February 12, 1968, in Los Angeles, California. At 19 years old, she played Mia, the stylish, magnetic friend in Some Kind of Wonderful. She didn't dominate the story, but she helped define the film's cool crowd energy and made the social divide feel sharper. That polish hit a childhood that felt like emotional wreckage. As the daughter of John Phillips and Michelle Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas, she grew up surrounded by fame, addictions, and public collapse. Divorce and chaos weren't distant rumors in her home. They were the background noise of daily life. She stepped into acting through projects like Caddyshack 2 and Say Anything, but the deeper pull was music, because singing felt like the one place she could breathe. Then success arrived fast and brought its own danger. In 1989, she formed Wilson Phillips with Carney and Wendy Wilson, and Hold On exploded in 1990, turning her into a pop-era symbol overnight. But the pressure fed old wounds, and addiction tightened its grip, contributing to the group's fracture after the early high. She tried to stand alone with Naked and Sacred, then returned to the spotlight through Wilson Phillips reunions and performances, chasing stability in a life that kept shaking. Her marriage became both refuge and battleground. Phillips married actor William Baldwin in 1995, and they built a family with 3 children, Jameson, Vance, and Brooke. But addiction and emotional crashes threatened everything. They faced periods of separation and reconciliation, and she spoke openly about treatment for anxiety, showing how fragile happy family can look from the outside. When her son Vance was diagnosed with cancer and later reached remission, it added another layer of fear that no fame could soften. Now, Chynna Phillips is 58 years old and continues creating music and appearing in faith-based and reality TV spaces, still tied to the Wilson Phillips legacy. With an estimated net worth of around $6 million, she has earned success that many would envy. Scott Coffey as Ray Scott Coffey was born on May 1, 1964, in Honolulu, Hawaii. At 23 years old, he played Ray, the loyal, funny friend who helped give Some Kind of Wonderful its youthful rhythm. His character added breadth and levity, making the teen world feel lived in instead of scripted. His early life was defined by movement and adaptation. Growing up in Hawaii, then leaving at 16 for Rome, Coffey learned early how to restart his life in new places. He chased acting through school theater and local performance companies, then pushed into film, landing early opportunities and building credits that included Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Space Camp. The constant relocations sharpened his ambition, but they also left him restless, always searching for the next door that might stay open. As he grew older, his personal life became more visible through the choices he made. Coffey built a long-term relationship with novelist Blair Mastbaum, keeping his private world steady while Hollywood stayed unstable. Acting brought him attention in Shag, where he earned an Independent Spirit Award nomination, Yet the industry still treated him like a supporting piece. That tension, being praised but not fully embraced, pushed him toward control behind the camera. That push led to reinvention, and it came with darker undertones. Coffey has spoken about addiction in his past, a struggle that threatened his momentum just as he was carving out a name. He turned that pressure into creative fuel, writing and directing Ellie Parker, a project that gained festival recognition and helped redefine him beyond acting. Later collaborations with David Lynch, including Mulholland Drive, strengthened his reputation as an artist drawn to strange, unsettling worlds, because those worlds felt honest. In 2026, Scott Coffey is 62 years old and continues working as a writer, director, and actor in independent film. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, his path reflects reinvention over comfort. Peter Elbling as Maitre D'. Peter Elbling was born on November 29, 1943, in London, England. At 44 years old, he played the Maitre D', the sharply composed restaurant host in Some Kind of Wonderful. Though brief, his presence added polish and tension to one of the film's most socially awkward moments. He carried that restraint from an unsettled childhood. Raised in post-war London before relocating to the United States, Elbling had to rebuild his identity in a new culture, adjusting his accent, humor, and ambitions just to belong. Acting became his entry point, and by the 1970s, he appeared in television guest roles under the name Harold Oblong, gradually earning space in projects like The Man with Two Brains and Once Bitten. Yet steady work did not mean security. Elbling went through fractured relationships and periods of emotional retreat, especially after the loss of close loved ones that reportedly pushed him away from the spotlight. While raising his sons, Simon and Dimitri, he balanced fatherhood with a career that rarely offered guarantees. Even as he appeared in films such as Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, the sense of being a supporting player in both Hollywood and life lingered. Creative redirection became his survival strategy. Rather than chasing fame, Elbling poured energy into writing, authoring children's books, and later the internationally successful novel The Food Taster. He also performed as part of the satirical duo The Times Square Two, leaning into wit instead of visibility. The shift from screen to page allowed him to control the narrative at last, trading fleeting screen time for lasting words. Today, Peter Elbling is 83 years old and lives largely outside mainstream celebrity culture, known more in literary circles than on red carpets. With an estimated net worth of around $1 million, his legacy rests not on blockbuster status, but on endurance and reinvention. 39 years later, Some Kind of Wonderful, 1987, still lingers in the hearts of those who grew up with its music, its heartbreak, and its unforgettable characters. Time has changed the faces, the careers, and the lives behind that story, but the impact remains. Which cast member's journey surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more deep dives into the films that shaped a generation.